handling the situation. Never before has an emergency like this one been contemplated. Airports have stopped all flights. In New York alone, 3 large jets reportedly have crashed, one at takeoff, killing an estimated 56 persons. In California, meanwhile, traffic on all major freeways has come to virtually a standstill due to pileups where drivers disappeared, leaving their vehicles to the mercy of passengers.
This is just in from Central News Agency. The UN has established a special emergency committee and will be making an unprecedented worldwide radio and telecast at noon today. And the purpose of this broadcast will be to assess the worldwide situation and establish methods and procedures in handling possible problems and danger facing the world as we know it today. Now be sure to tune in either your radio or television at 12 noon Eastern Time, 11 o'clock Central Time on UTN, the United Television Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I speak to you this day, my words are being translated into every major tongue and dialect in the world. This morning, the United Nations met in emergency session and formed the organization you see represented by this symbol, UNITE, the United Nations Imperium of Total Emergency. The Imperium is designed to exercise total power for as long as the emergency exists. And as yet, no final judgment has been made as to the exact nature of the emergency. But UNITE is anxious that, until such judgment has been made, all feelings of panic and fear be held in check. The Imperium is made up of leaders from 10 major world powers, consisting of 6 committees from within those countries of 6 members each. You can be sure that the Imperium, while taking absolute control of world government during this emergency, will truly represent your feelings and needs. It is because of this potential threat to our entire planet that this one world government, the Imperium, has been formed. And each member of the World Council wishes to assure those of his fellow citizens that as soon as the emergency is passed, we will return to self-rule for all nations.
Okay, so this snippet was taken from a movie called A Thief in the Night. It was released in 1972. It's a Christian fundamentalist film. And the funny thing about this film is that it has been etched in my memory because when I was around maybe 12, 13 years old, I went to a Christian retreat with my best friend. She was from the Pentecostal church. So they played this film one night because it was like a camp meeting. So they played this film one night, and I remember it scared the hell out of me. It scared my best friend too. We were all scared. So I remember we were afraid to go to sleep and all that. And I grew up in the church, so I definitely have been indoctrinated into, you know, the end times, Judgment Day, where things would just get crazy. But the Pentecostal church in particular, they believed in the rapture, and the rapture basically dealt with there would come a time when the world was going to really become chaotic, and those believers in Christ would be taken up and they would be protected. Now, I don't believe in the rapture and all that, but this movie is very telling in terms of how the government was taking over the whole world. So that's why I chose to include this snippet. And it's very much indicative of what's going down right now. I firmly believe that this virus is just a smokescreen, or it's a reason for the government to fully take over. And this is happening all over the world. So in this film, that speaker talked about the one world government, and you notice they were basically representing the United Nations. So this movie has a lot of truth in it. It also deals with the mark of the beast. So there's a scene in there dealing with that. Let me try to find it. Here it is right here.
Name?
Ruth Matney.
Address?
7110 Oliver Smith.
Zone?
25.
Back of the hand or forehead?
Will it wash off?
No, it's permanent.
Back of the hand.
Put it right there. I'm not afraid to be a good citizen.
Name?
Ernie Gebhardt.
Address?
1334 East Oak Park.
Zone?
Zone 50.
Now, the mark of the beast is this Christian term that deals with during the end times, people will be marked with this code, and basically only people that have this mark will be able to buy and sell things, and will be able to do things that, what we take for granted today. So the mark of the beast in terms of modern day society could be a microchip, it could be some type of RFID code or signal or whatever, but they are trying to institute this ID 2020, so look into that. Also, Bill Gates, along with other people within the elite, they prior to this coronavirus outbreak, they had a meeting, and the meeting was about what they could do to stave off an outbreak, and they actually used the coronavirus as an example. So I say all this to talk about the current transits going on. Now that stellium in Capricorn has a lot to do with what's going on right now. Neptune is in Pisces and is currently making a sextile to Mars and Jupiter in Capricorn. So right now we are dealing with the perfect recipe for the government to institute martial law, draconian policies, and them to basically really take over as much as possible. So we are in some dire straits. I don't want to be, scaring people, but I do like to keep it real. And I knew this time was coming, particularly with Uranus and Taurus. So we can't forget about Uranus and Taurus right now, because that Uranus and Taurus has a lot to deal with what's going on right now. And Uranus is currently in trine with the Capricorn South Node. So again, that's another aspect that has given the governments of the world a lot of power to take over. So I just wanted to read a little bit from this blog that I wrote back in 2017 about Uranus going into Taurus. So I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. So I titled it Uranus and Taurus, the End of the World as We Know It. Now, this is my blog. I haven't updated it in a long time, but if you would like to read what I have on this blog, just go to rahbinah.wordpress.com. And for some reason, I was trying to update it and it wouldn't let me put in any edits. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. So here it is. I try not to give in to fear by remaining rational and level-headed, but this upcoming ingress of Uranus and Taurus has me very concerned. This is because Taurus represents peace, normalcy, finances, food, nature, values, and standards. Uranus is about upheaval, rebellion, chaos, sudden upsets, destruction, tyranny, sudden change, and perversion. Uranus also deals with groups of people, social causes, and activism. Uranus is considered to be in the fall when in Taurus. A sign that places a planet in the fall is not a healthy placement for it. So let me just cut to the chase with some bullet points regarding the possible ways in which Uranus and Taurus will manifest. Rebellion against convention and all that is natural. The abnormal becomes normalized. Chaos replaces order. Upheavals. A major shift in global economic conditions for the worse. Economic insecurity. Tyranny, especially economic and ecological. A cashless system could be implemented. Money becomes totally electronic. Microchips implants will become more of the norm. GMO foods will become even more of the norm. Perversion will reach an all-time high due to the erosion of values and standards. The lines between right and wrong will be blurred. Public nudity and other forms of indecency/deviant behavior will become more socially acceptable. Case in point, last year when I was driving home, I saw this big old fat man walking butt-ass naked down the street. And like, I just saw his pork and beans just swinging. You know how you're driving, you're kind of at a distance. So I'm like squinting my eyes and I'm like, is this dude naked? So when I came upon him, yes, he was butt ass naked, just walking down the street looking like a zombie. And I said to myself, I was like, the moon gotta be in Aquarius right now. So not in Aquarius. I was like, the moon got to be in Taurus and it got to be conjoined to Uranus right now. So when I went home, looked at the transits, sure enough, the moon was right on top of Uranus and Taurus. So that produced a situation like that. So that's just one example. The battle between the sexes will reach an all-time high. Racial tension will reach a crescendo. A race or civil war is possible. Riots and social uprisings. Being under total surveillance. Air travel could be heavily restricted in some areas due to civil unrest or war or virus, but I feel like this is like a war. People will develop more of a mob mentality, like going to the store buying up all the tissue. The perversion or devaluation of the arts, ugliness will be considered to be beauty. An increase in natural disasters, crazy weather, mega storms, droughts. The weather will become totally manufactured. Geoengineering programs have been in place for many years now, but NASA claims that it will own the weather by 2025. Now, I don't mean to be all about gloom and doom, but I also am a realist and I can't ignore the destructive energy that is imminent. We will need more faith and inner peace than ever to get through these sour times that are on the horizon. On the bright side, enlightenment will increase and people will gain more access to creative powers that are not of this earth. Uranus and Taurus will usher in some state-of-the-art designs that have yet to enter our realm of human experience. There will also be an increase in entrepreneurs as Uranus enters Taurus, since Uranus equals independence. This is also a very good time for astrologers, also metaphysicians in general, since Uranus is the planet that rules astrology. And with Taurus representing money, but also realism, astrology will be given more legitimacy. Taurus also represents advisors, and with Uranus and Taurus, many people will be seeking answers that cannot be satisfied through conventional means, such as now. More people will consider becoming an astrologer as a viable career option. So that's my blog on Uranus and Taurus. Again, we are dealing with some very strange times. We are in some strange days. This, like what's going on right now, at least in the United States, is unprecedented in terms of the way they're shutting everything down, shutting businesses down, schools. So time will tell, but like I said, with Saturn's ingress into Aquarius, Mars will be following Saturn very shortly. You'll have a conjunction between Mars and Saturn on March 30th, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But I hope everybody remains calm, don't panic, but be prepared and, prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. I'm going to keep everybody in my prayers. I hope you keep me in your prayers, and I will be back with some more videos. If you would like a reading, you could go to my website at rahbinah.com. Peace and many blessings.